What's up, positive bitches? How are we doing today? If you're hearing this episode, then you were meant to be here, so keep listening. On that Bitches Positive podcast, sometimes we will laugh, other times, baby girl, we're gonna cry. But we will always walk away feeling our most empowered, positive bitch self. That is babe in true connection with herself. On this podcast, we unbecome who we are not so we can fully step into exactly who we came here to be. Today, we're following this month's theme of self-love. It's February, so it's all about you, and you. The interesting thing about ourself and healing is we can do a lot on our own, but you know what allows us to heal even deeper? It's when we get into relationships with others. I could have never understood that I dealt with codependency and anxious attachment if it was not being triggered in a relationship. We can do a lot of the healing on our own, but we might not know what to heal, what needs healing, and what our triggers are if there's not someone out there triggering those wounds. Our relationships, we know that they are not going to be all butterflies and rainbows. Relationships are meant to trigger us deeper into our own healing because they are a mirror for ourselves, and not just the light aspects, but the dark. And as a positive bitch, we know we don't run from our darkness. We dance with it. We look at it so we can heal through it. Our darkness is sacred, and it's something that when we look at, we can transmute, alchemize, and use it to become a more powerful individual. Recently, I've been watching Love is Blind, and I've been seeing all these different relationship dynamics really play out. And if you don't watch Love is Blind or you haven't yet, don't worry. We are going to use Love is Blind to talk about certain concepts when it comes to dating. But if you don't know the couples or the people, I'm going to explain it anyway, so you won't have to worry. I also recently watched that JLo music video, except for the fact that it's an hour long, called This Is Me Now. And we're going to be pulling some concepts from that as well. But today we're going to talk about not only attachment and love and dating, but ultimately how to choose ourself. One of you positive bitches, I was talking on Instagram, and you can follow me there at Vibing with CiiCii. I said, what are you positive bitches thinking about Love is Blind so far? And one of you said that love isn't blind, attachment is. And that is just gold. And that is why it's going to be the title for this podcast, because that couldn't be closer to the truth. Love isn't blind. Love is kind. Love is truth. Love is passion. It's not blind. You know what is, though, is attachment. When we're attached to someone, we don't care. They're cheating on us. They're mistreating us. We don't care because we're attached to them anyway. Love is not blind. Attachment is. And we're going to talk about how we can choose ourselves so our attachment stops choosing our triggers for us. But before we get into it, like I said, if you're not yet following me on Instagram, follow me at Vibin with CiiCii. That will be in the show notes below, so you can just click in there to find my Instagram. And why even follow me? I post daily tips and tricks on how to use your energy so it doesn't just use you, and how to reclaim your reality. If you're going through a breakup, join the 21-day breakup glow up challenge, where you can learn how to get back on that pedestal and, of course, glow up. Stop obsessing about your ex and your past, and instead get into yourself. You can also get the pedestal path, which is based on the pedestal principle, which we talk about a lot on this podcast. And in this course, you can learn not only how to put yourself on the pedestal, but how to stop energetically chasing, how to heal these codependent wounds, and so much more. All this will be in the show notes. And if you're looking for more intimate guidance, I am a certified life and energy coach. You can DM me on Instagram for more information on how I may be able to help you. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. I have gone to many nutritionists throughout my lifetime. Many. And the one thing that they all said in unison was never wait until you're starving to eat because you will overeat. And this actually one day did happen to me. I was doing intermittent fasting, but I had a very busy day. I wasn't home and it hit like 5 p.m. or something like that. And I went to the supermarket because I thought to myself, I just need to eat anything and something because I'm starving. I go into the supermarket. I'm in the supermarket. I start filling up my cart with everything, just everything. Things I don't eat, things I would never think of eating, things I didn't even know what they were, but I was just so hungry that I started filling up my cart. I ripped open a bag of something and literally started eating it in the store because I was so hungry. And when I got home and I looked at my counter and I just saw 555 on the clock, change is here. When I got home and looked at the counter and saw what I bought, I thought, CiiCii, why would you buy any of this food? You don't eat it. You don't eat gluten. You don't eat dairy. I'm pretty sure I was a vegan at the time. You don't eat whatever it was. Maybe there was cheese in it. I don't remember. And I thought to myself, I was so hungry that I dropped my boundaries of what I like to eat, how I feel about food and chemicals. I dropped my standards and I just let anything and everything into my cart. And it got me thinking about dating. When we're starving for love, when we're starving for validation, when we're starving for someone to see us, we drop our boundaries. We drop our standards. We drop ourselves and become obsessed with them. And ultimately, when I ate this food afterwards, I felt sick. I ate too much because I waited too long, so I was so hungry. And I ended up feeling sick. And what do we do when we're starving for validation, starving for love, starving for someone to see us? We end up getting played. We end up getting ghosted. We end up feeling sick of men and dating. The moral of the story is what we don't give to ourselves, we will starve for in other people. And there's a quote that says something along the lines of, if you're not fed love on a silver spoon, you will learn to lick it off of knives. When we are starving for that love, for that validation, we end up ghosting ourselves. And all this leads to is other people ghosting us too. If you're wondering when is a good time to date, when is a good time to go on Love is Blind and get married, it's not when you're starving and needing someone to affirm your own identity. You want to walk into a relationship in dating, not being perfect. You don't need that, but you need to have some sort of identity. You need to say, yeah, you know what? I would like a connection. That would be cool. It would bring me some more fulfillment. But either way, I'm good. There's nothing wrong with wanting a relationship, wanting love, wanting a partner. However, when you need it, that is the exact moment that your inner being is actually trying to tell you what you need is not that person out there, it's you. It's you to start fulfilling your own needs. If you are starving for love and attention and affection, you need to start asking yourself, how can I give affection to myself? How can I give an intimate moment to myself? Intimacy with ourselves, you might be thinking, how is that even possible? It is. The most intimate moments I have with myself is in prayer, in meditation, when I'm journaling and I have this deep realization about my past and who I am and why I am the way I am. I have intimate moments with myself when I turn off social media, when I turn off my computer, and I just sit outside by the water and I just read, or I just talk to my angels. If you want to feel intimacy before you go running to get it from someone else and drop your standards for that person because you're starving and you need it, what about giving it to yourself? Not only will this cause you to have better relationships later, but you will feel immediately better now. If you're starving for validation, use your tongue. When you achieve something at work, good job, CiiCii. When you make your bed, good job, CiiCii. When you do that workout, I'm proud of you for accomplishing that today, CiiCii. Be impeccable with your word. I know that we think that we can only get these needs fulfilled by other people, but surprisingly enough, you can fulfill these needs yourself. And when you fulfill them yourself, all you do is attract a partner who will fulfill them too. Even ask yourself, what is my preferred love language? Is it words of affirmation? Okay, you need to be doing affirmations every single day. Is it acts of service? This is something I was working on with one of my clients. And we were discussing how, what if you actually gave yourself that act of service? What if instead of putting off doing the dishes or cleaning your house or your room, you said, I'm going to do it for 15 minutes to 45 minutes. I'm going to get this done so that for the rest of the night, I can just chill and I can relax. You can gift yourself the things that you need. And when you do that, literally your whole entire universe, I promise you, will get better. It's the law of the land. I don't make the rules, but I do read the writing on the wall. In Love is Blind, if you've been watching, and I have to say, side note, if you're healing from a breakup, one of my weird, quote unquote, weird ways I healed during my breakup was watching Temptation Island. And I would just watch these girls. It was crazy. I was just watching this girl getting blatantly cheated on. And then she would have to watch back the footage of her partner cheating on her. And I would just cry with this girl on TV. Sometimes we don't allow ourselves to feel our own emotions because we've been told you're too sensitive, you're too dramatic. And so we have this internal voice that says, be stronger, go do your work, don't allow yourself to feel. And for me, watching dating reality television gave me this permission. It made me feel like they're crying, I feel for them, and I'm also going through my own trials. I'm going to cry in unison with this person. And I would watch them and I would just cry with them. And it really helps me move through my emotions. If you are going through something that's tough, I would recommend dating reality television to heal. No one's going to tell you that, but for whatever reason, it really does work. It gives you permission to feel. It allows those emotions to be triggered, felt, and released. So maybe try out Love is Blind. There's a woman on this show named Chelsea, and there's two guys who she's dating in the pods. One guy is Trevor, who is obsessed with her, all about her, giving her all this attention and affection and love. He says, I love you. I want you. He's also a big muscle man. I'm just saying. She doesn't know that, but I do because I'm the viewer. And then there's this other guy, Jimmy, who is, he is who he is. You know, I'm going to be kind. So he just is who he is. And Jimmy is in between Chelsea and some other girl. He's not sure about Chelsea. But Chelsea really likes Trevor, the guy who's obsessed with her. And she also really likes Jimmy for some unknown reason. I don't know. I don't get it. Okay. But you know what? It's not for me to get. It's for me to talk about. So let's get into this. So also another side note, Trevor, who is this big muscly man, can I just tell you, everyone on social media is like, don't judge a book by its cover. Trevor, I thought he was going to be so surface level, annoying, whatever. And you know what I have been thinking this whole entire time while I'm watching Trevor? One of the gyms I go to is a bodybuilder gym. Again, I always say this, Joe, I don't know why I go there. I have no idea, but I do. You know what they call all the big muscly men? Gentle giants. Because these men who all they care about is working out and their job and their family, they are the kindest souls on this planet. They really are. Because like I said, all they care about is what they look like in the mirror. So they're not looking at other ladies because they're too busy looking at themselves. They don't go out because they're on these strict meal plans. So they don't drink. They care about their family if they have one. And they always have a dog somehow. They are the kindest people. So everyone's now realizing this about Trevor, but this is something I've always known because all the bodybuilders at the gym that I go to are exactly like him. They're all gentle giants. Maybe this is a rebranding for the muscle men. I don't know, but just side note in there. So Chelsea's deciding between beautiful, loving, gracious Trevor and Jimmy, who is Jimmy. And she decides to go with Jimmy. And so many people on social media are saying, why would Chelsea choose to go with Jimmy when there's this other guy who's obsessed with her? And it got me thinking, why do any of us choose the guy that's just not that into us over the guy who wants to give us the world? This is repetition compulsion in its truest form. Whoever we crave love from the most growing up, whatever caregiver we crave love from the most growing up, we will subconsciously try to redo this dynamic in our adult relationships, hoping to master that original dynamic. So let's say we always craved love from our mother, but our mom was always working and she wasn't able to really be there for us physically and really not there emotionally for us either. What we do is subconsciously in our adult intimate relationships, we'll seek out people who are workaholics, who are alcoholics, anyone who maybe they're even a player. Anyone who cannot be there for us emotionally and or physically, we will seek that person out because we're trying to redo that original dynamic. But this time as an adult with more power and more agency, this time we're going to get it right. And all this does is re-traumatize ourselves. Our trauma that we had with that original caregiver becomes our type. And most of the time when we're going through breakups or in these relationships, it's not actually about the dude. He's not actually that great. It's about the dynamic the dude allows us to have. Because our inner child still lives within us. And she's still looking for that love that she perceives that that caregiver couldn't give to her. So if she couldn't get it from mom or dad, what is she going to do? She's going to try to get it from people who you have intimate relationships with. And all we do is repeat this dynamic over and over and over again. So if this is you, baby girl, it's time to try a new flavor. We have to choose to step out of this repetition, this compulsion to repeat the dynamic over and over and over again. How do you do this? One way to do this is instead of going towards what you're attracted to, ask yourself, what do I value in a relationship? Do I value someone who wants to be a family man, who has a relationship with God, who can see me, hear me, be there for me? I mean, really, at the end of the day, let's say you're married, you have 3 kids. It's not going to matter if your husband has abs if he can't be there for you emotionally. Because you're going to have days where you're going to have that breakdown. And yes, breakdowns are breakthroughs, but you're going to want someone there for you. We all do. Instead of just relying on what am I chemically attracted to, I want you to start relying on actually what do I value and make a list. And you need to be reminding yourself of this list every single day. Do I value a partner who's patient and kind, who understands spirituality, psychology, a relationship with God, works out, whatever it may be? Write it down. What do I value? And use those values as your North Star instead of just relying on chemistry. Because what is chemistry but a bunch of chemicals that are just going off in your head? Chemistry is you picking up on trauma. Chemistry is chemicals going off in your head, dopamine and cortisol. This is a new opportunity for me to try to redo that dynamic I had with the caregiver I crave love from the most, but this time as an adult, get it right in this intimate relationship. That excitement that, I need this person, I love this person, but I don't even know this person, is chemistry. And it's a chemical cocktail. It's not love. Chemistry is blind. Attachment is blind. Love is not blind. No. Another interesting takeaway I got from Love is Blind is when AD, who is another woman on the show, AD stands for Amber Desiree, I believe. She was talking about how she doesn't believe she's worthy of love. She doesn't think she deserves love. And Clay, who she's with, was saying, well, why? Like, why don't you think that? And she said, I manifested a good career. She was a dancer for some sport team. Don't ask me about sports. Like, do I look like I know about sports? I obviously don't. Anyway, she was a dancer for some team. And she said a lot of people liked her because of what she looked like versus who she actually is. And she was able to build a good life besides the relationship part. She said, because I don't have love in my life, but I got everything else, I think I deserve everything else. I don't think I deserve love, though. The mistake that AD is making is she's waiting on her reality to affirm to her what her inner being already knows. She's waiting for her reality to shift to show her that she's worthy of love instead of first deciding that she's worthy of love, which then the universe will respond to and give her that relationship where she feels worthy of love. You know, the interesting thing is there's always one in every season, but of course this one happens to be with AD. Clay is the only person that they showed, at least, that was talking about what he wants in looks. He was saying, I need a girl he does not have this accent. I don't know where this is coming from, but he was saying, I need a girl who has like big lips, booty, blah, 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 blah. And AD does have that, by the way, but he was the only one leading with that and saying, if she doesn't have that, I can't get down on one knee. If she doesn't look like that, I can't get down on one knee. And he also said that after his future wife has a baby, that he's going to get her back in the gym. He's the only person thus far that has talked a lot about what his partner has to look like. First of all, that's an insecurity in himself that he's projecting on AD. But more importantly, why would AD out of everyone attract the person who's so obsessed with what his partner looks like? It's because she thinks that her only redeeming quality is her looks. And that's the only possible way that she can really get someone to be with her. And that she's not deserving of love just on her own. So what does she do but attract the guy who also thinks so heavily about looks? AD has not realized that once she changes how she believes about herself, the universe, and 555 again on the freaking clock. It's a timer, not a clock. She doesn't realize that once she changes her, and what are we talking about but change? And I see 555. Of course. Once she changes how she feels about herself and how she perceives herself, other people will shift how they perceive her too. So how can we start to shift our beliefs? Take out a piece of paper and write down all the negative beliefs you have about yourself. Just write it down. Write it down. And then I want you to take out another piece of paper and write the exact opposite statement. So let's say I write down, I don't think I'm deserving of love. On the other piece of paper, you're going to write, I am deserving of love. I feel deserving of love. I love how much love I receive in my reality. I gave you 3, but you can just do 1 if you want. And then what you're going to do is rip up all the negative beliefs, throw them out, and you're going to use that new list as affirmations that you're going to repeat to yourself every single day. And when you start believing this about yourself, and by the way, you will believe it. If you're reading these affirmations right now and you're like, CiiCii, I don't think this and I don't believe it, you will. Because practicing a belief, a thought, a sentence anchors it into your being. What is a belief? It's a practiced thought. It's a thought you thought so many times that it wired into your body and now has become a belief. Most of our beliefs are not fact. They're beliefs. Most of what we think are facts are also not facts. They're also just beliefs. We grow up and we hear a lot of different things. And we, as a child, assume, well, if my mom is saying that, if my teacher is saying that, if that's what the adults are saying, it must be true. No. You want a different reality? Then you got to giddy on up on a new path and you got to write down the beliefs that you want. So take your pen back, turn the page, and write a new chapter. Write the beliefs you want to have, what you want to see in your reality. At this point, The damage from other people, it's already done. But you can take back your power by rewriting the rules for your own life. That is all in your power to do. Circling back to Chelsea and Jimmy, Chelsea being the one who chose the guy who wasn't really sure about her, but picked her, but the whole entire time was questioning whether to be Chelsea or Jess. When Jimmy sees Chelsea, he is shocked because in the pods, Chelsea said that people tell her that she looks like Megan Fox because she has dark hair and blue eyes. But of course, Jimmy thought, oh, you look exactly like Megan Fox. I have to be honest, though, if I was in the pods, I would be like, I look like Shrek. That's who I look like. So no matter what, when I am shown and revealed, no matter what, it's better than Shrek. I don't know who in their right mind would be like, oh, I look like someone who doesn't even look like themselves. Like Megan Fox doesn't even look like Megan Fox. She has a wardrobe stylist. She has makeup and hair and doctors, if we're being honest. Just what I question that decision. I understand maybe she's just throwing it all out there, seeing what works. But she didn't say that to Trevor, the guy who was actually into her. Okay, I don't have time to spiral about this right now. I would have just said I looked like Shrek. That way it's only up from there. But this is the other thing I want to talk about with beliefs. So Chelsea definitely has some insecurities. Hello, we all do. And her saying that she looks like Megan Fox, who would even say that? That is her subconsciously creating a dynamic in which now she has to live up to Megan Fox, creating a dynamic in which she's going to feel insecure. Jimmy, when they all met, said something about AD, like she's stacked, which apparently means, I think it means you have a big butt. I've never heard this terminology before. Jimmy says AD is stacked, and then Chelsea out loud announces to everyone, Jimmy thinks you're stacked, AD. Chelsea creates more circumstances to feel more insecure in. Like, if she never mentioned the Megan Fox thing, she wouldn't have to live up to that image. If she didn't announce to everyone that Jimmy said that about AD, she wouldn't have made herself even more uncomfortable. Jimmy should have not said that. That was disrespectful anyway. You just met this girl. You don't need to be talking about someone else's looks. You just met each other. But still, to blow it up and out of proportion in the moment, when we have insecurities, we will subconsciously make matters worse or carve out moments in our day to make us feel even more insecure. We will become hyper-focused on someone we think has more than us. We will attract someone who's going to tell us something negative about ourselves. We attract experiences that allow us to have the same emotional outcomes. So if I'm already insecure, I'm going to attract more circumstances to feel insecure. So instead of trying to force matter with matter and trying to change people out there and circumstance out there, work on yourself. Whatever you think is a perceived weakness about yourself, how can you make it a strength? What can you do? Can you drink more water, read more books, learn a new language? If you feel insecure that you don't have that many friends, well, maybe join a class. If you feel insecure about your body, try taking a walk every day or drinking more water. If you feel insecure about your style, try out a new one. There are things you can do. If you feel like you don't have enough wisdom, read a damn book. You can choose whatever you're insecure about, and you can change these things. You don't just have to accept them. You can change them and strengthen those muscles. Another thing that is worth mentioning is Jess is someone on the show, and this was actually the person that Jimmy was also interested in. When Jimmy turned down Jess, I think a lot of people were shocked, but here's what I'll have to say. Jess is a mom, and that's just something about her. But anyway, she gave Jimmy a letter that she wrote to her future husband, and I swear that was the nail in the coffin. Because anything we chase, whether it's a bug or a boy, will run away. And her giving him this really emotional, in-depth letter when he didn't even commit to her yet, that was sending way too much energy too soon. He was already iffy about her, but that, nail in the coffin. Nail in the coffin. How can we use this to help ourselves? I would equate that long letter that Jess wrote to her future husband and then gave to Jimmy, even though he wasn't sure about her yet, to like a really long-winded text after you go on a date with someone. I like you so much, I can't stop thinking about you, or texting them first every day. Those actions, stalking their social media, that's all energetically chasing them. And when someone isn't sure about you yet, that repels them. Because you're like the bowling ball and they're like the pins and they're just being repelled in the opposite direction. You want it to be like a tennis match where you send some energy and they send some energy and you send some energy and they send some energy. And eventually you do that long enough, you learn one another, you understand one another, that the dynamic won't be so I have to think about where I'm placing my energy. But at first, yeah, it should be very much like a tennis match, or else you're going to repel that person. I feel like if Jess would have stood on her pedestal a little bit more and not given all of her focus just to Jimmy and gave either more people a chance or didn't just give up all of her energy to Jimmy, it would have been different for her. And when you think about Chelsea was talking to Trevor and Jimmy. All of her energy wasn't just on one person. It was on, I'm going to find the best person for me. And what ended up happening is Jimmy chose her. And it goes to show you that when you're focused on you, finding who it is you want, but not displacing yourself, you get all the options. But when we place that other person on a pedestal and we pour our guts out to them when they're not even sure about us, that's decentering ourselves. That's energetically chasing them. I tell my clients who deal with anxious attachment, at first, date multiple people at once, because if you don't and you tend towards anxious attachment, you will pedestal that person so quickly, give all of your energy to them, and it will just repel them. Watch out for this. Make sure, I don't care if you're dating, in a relationship, single, you're on your own pedestal all of the time, period. So I think if Jess didn't do that letter, I would have, in an alternate universe, I would love to know how that would have unfolded. Side note also, this is not really having to do with today's topic, but I just love this show so much and I need to mention it. There is a man on this show called Matthew, and he is a wealth advisor. I don't know how to explain this man. He's a very private man. He doesn't have Instagram or any of that jazz, apparently. And I've just been thinking lately, I know that us women have had such a revolt against men on Instagram and social media because we're like, no, stop following half-naked women. What are you doing? But there's another side. The flip side of this coin are the men who are so private. They don't have Instagram. They don't have anything. They're so private and calculated that they're not hiding the DM or someone that they follow. They're hiding their second family. And I just feel that there's a middle way. Like, just because a man has an Instagram doesn't make him evil. Maybe he's just posting his little fishy that he got, or him and his friends in his little flannel. Maybe that's not so bad because at least we can see what's going on, what's happening. But without anything, they can have a full second family. And there's a very specific type I'm talking about. These men who are just very secretive, it's almost suspicious. That's just a side note. Anyway, let's get into the JLo of it all, shall we? So JLo put out this, it reminds me of Beyonce's Lemonade album, how she did a visual album. JLo pretty much did the same thing. And the whole entire time, it was kind of making fun of herself, how she's like addicted to relationships and love. But it had a couple of really key moments that we can learn from here. One line from it that I really liked is, the stars can speak their minds, but what is in the deepest of your heart is ultimately what's manifesting in your life, or what manifests itself. And this is so true. It doesn't matter about their zodiac sign or what's happening or what's going on out there. What matters is what's in your heart, what's in your body, what's in your mind. That is what always manifests. Your heart is like 60 times stronger than your head. So whatever you're broadcasting emotionally on a daily basis is what you're going to attract more of. If you're attracting, I don't feel good enough and I need someone else in my life, you're going to attract people who make you feel not good enough. But if you're broadcasting, I'm fine on my own, I love myself, even I love myself and I want a loving partner, you'll attract someone who's loving. But we have to be giving that love to ourselves. What's the medicine for all of us? What is like the golden, that bitch is positive rule? You have to give yourself love and attention. Yeah. So there was a scene where JLo's having this dream and she meets back up with her younger self, or her inner child. And the inner child is screaming at her, I didn't get enough love. I didn't get enough love. And JLo goes, from who? Mom and dad? And the child goes, no, from you. You loved everyone else but me. Yeesh. Don't all of us fall into that trap because we think if I get this relationship, I'm finally going to feel accepted. If I get this relationship, I'll finally feel loved. If I get this relationship, I'll feel validated. If we just decide to give that validation, love, affection, and attention to ourselves, we got it. We got it. Your inner child lives on within you, but so does your inner wise adult. And you can decide differently now. I also love how in this Is Me Now visual album, it's not even just blaming her hurt on her parents. It's taking responsibility. And in taking responsibility over what you're broadcasting and who you are, you take your power back. Moral of the story is always going to be you have to give yourself what you were craving. That love. There was one scene in this visual album where there's a glass house and there's a bunch of couples that are fighting or screaming at one another, but they're connected to one another by this tied rope. And that's attachment. It's not love anymore. And even JLo says it felt like I thought I could die. Like during her breakup, she felt like she was going to die. That's attachment. That is not love. Feeling like I need this person, it's attachment. It's not love. And attachment is blind. Feeling like I'm going to die if I don't have this person is not love. That's attachment. And attachment is blind. Thinking that it's okay that this person verbally or physically disrespects me, that's attachment. It's not love. And attachment is blind. Attachment is what keeps bringing us back on that rope to the same people or different people with the same emotional outcome, because we're attached to feeling like we have to be the caregiver, or attached to feeling like we have to take the disrespect, or attached to feeling like we have to be the people pleaser, feeling like we have to do everything for everyone all the time. Attachment is blind, not love. In the Bible, what they explain love to be, I feel like is the truest definition, because I don't know that any other book has wrote it so well. They say love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. That's love. And if someone is mistreating you and you keep saying, I have to stay, that's not love. That's attachment, and attachment is blind. There are some people in my life, in my family, they have to be blocked. I can love them from afar, but I can't love them from up close. I can't. I will literally just, it wouldn't be good for anybody. Okay, let's put it that way. There are some people in my life that I can't be friends with anymore. I had to release those people from my life because I can love them from afar, but thinking I need them in my life, that's attachment, and attachment is blind. And as positive bitches, we need to have our eyes wide open. Wide open. And I know it's not always easy to set these boundaries or remove ourselves or remove another person because we get an emotional payout. We don't do anything for no reason. Everything we do has some sort of payout, whether it's unconscious, emotional, or conscious, doesn't matter. We do things when there's some sort of payout. And sometimes we need these toxic people in our life because they allow us to keep rereading the same story that we've known our whole entire life. But that's living blind. And it's time to see ourselves as who we truly are, see the truth, see them for who they truly are, because love isn't blind. I had to remove people actually so I could love them from afar. I had to block people so I actually could love them from afar because I can't love them up close because I was attached to them and they're not healthy for me. And history is never a good enough reason to have a future or a present with someone. They need to be a healthy influence in our life. We are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. If we're with someone who tells us that we're worthless, makes us feel like we're worthless, we must believe we're worthless. And that comes down to us. That's us. That is up to us to make the change. They're not going to change. It's up to you. Why are you relying on that person who seems to know nothing anyway? It's time to take back our pen and write a new story. So what story are you going to write? As always, the sparkle in me honors the sparkle in you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I love talking to you on YouTube in the comments, so definitely interact with this video. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe so that you know when videos are posted. And I will see you beautiful, beautiful humans in the next one. Bye.